Welcome to the DoubleACS Daily News. A partially obscured Veterans Memorial near the center of the Attleboro downtown has been moved just a few feet to allow for much better visibility. The William A. Streeter Memorial was moved on Tuesday morning, and we spoke with Attleboro Veterans agent Ben Quell to learn more.
Well, as the Veterans agent for the city, one of my responsibilities is to look after the veterans' memorials and monuments to make sure that they have proper flag placements and that they're replaced each year prior to Memorial Day. And it became apparent to some of the leadership and citizens in the city that this particular memorial, which has been moved before, is really not well placed at all. It cannot be viewed, it can't be appreciated. And so it was brought to my attention that it's probably best that it get moved to a more visible and appropriate spot for a memorial than sitting behind a fence abutting a private piece of property. So getting together with members of the council and the Parks Department that has the equipment to move it, we are going to relocate it slightly so that people don't lose sight of it or track of it. We're just going to slightly move it down a sidewalk onto a piece of donated public land, which will be much more visible and appropriate for a veteran memorial.
Hello, I'm super excited. I am happy to be here today for the movement of the William A. Streeter monument from its location here to a few feet away in what I think is a more appropriate and certainly a more attractive spot. William A. Streeter served, when he was 18, he joined the military and was the first Attleboro soldier to die in the Civil War. He died in, I believe, 1864. In 1948, the mayor of Attleboro decided to erect a monument in his honor.
In order for a monument to be appreciated, it has to be visible, it has to be accessible. People like to walk by them and see them and know where they are. So, sitting behind this fence is just obscure. So we just want to pay better tribute to the veteran who we're memorializing by putting it into an area that can be easily viewed by the entire public.
A constituent brought this project to my attention, and I came by. I'm like, yeah, I didn't even notice it. I'm sad to say I hadn't noticed the monument before it was brought to my attention. So I drove by, I reached out to Mayor Haro and Veterans Agent Ben Quayle about moving it, and Derek Coursey. And in talking to Frank Cook, former president of the Municipal Council and a historian, Frank told me he had been working on this project with former Mayor Dumas years ago, and it just never came to fruition. So I started emailing, got Frank in the loop, and I'm very happy to say that the mayor, Ben, and Derek are all very supportive of moving it. And so after many years of being talked about, it looks like it's finally happened. To honor, these monuments are important. It's important to remember the past, to honor our veterans, to honor our military history, because, can't forget the past. You know what they say, if you forget about history, you're doomed to repeat it. So I think it's always important, particularly in something so monumental as the Civil War, and that this gentleman went in at 18 and died when he was maybe 22, 23 years old. So it's super important to acknowledge his service and the service of this. If you acknowledge one, in my opinion, you acknowledge them all. So.
But what I'll do is I'm going to work with the city leadership to come up with something official, to something we can put out to the public so they know that it's been taken care of and that it hasn't moved that far. They can still come down here and find it pretty easy. So that'll be done very soon. We haven't set a solid date though yet.